Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Casa de Anime. Today we'll be covering Beastars, episode 7, Below the Fur Coat. Like and subscribe to Casa de Anime for more content.
What's up, guys?
Yep. So what's up?
A lot happened in this episode. I feel like each episode is just building up to more things that we just want to find out about food-wise, relationship-wise. It's just blowing up at this point.
That side story to begin with the hen and how she basically takes so much pride in her laying eggs and how she has this routine set up to keep her eggs fresh. And how she basically thinks she's like the mother to all carnivores. She's like, without me, what would you guys be eating? Like, I provide nourishment for all of you. And I guess that's something to be prideful on, like you have a part-time job that actually is super important. Like, carnivores need substitute food. So it is actually a really important job she has.
Yeah, she says, she's like, I don't do this to provide carnivores for protein. But then you see her like, she's clearly eavesdropping on Louis Legoshi eating her sandwich that has her eggs in it. And she's just mesmerized. She's like, oh, does he like it? Yes, he loves it. And then the day he doesn't like it, all her pride and ego just goes out the window, and she's like, wow.
It's so realistic. Yeah, because you ever make something for somebody and they like it and you're like, oh, like you feel really good about yourself because they like it. And if you make something, that's not as good or they don't like it, then you're like, oh, sorry.
Damn, just like this YouTube channel.
I think the hen basically being prideful about serving or being a part of society and serving carnivores just shows herbivores do understand their role, and they understand sometimes that they're important parts of society. You need them. So it's when you feel needed, it brings a whole new thing into it, with herbivores, especially the ones that can lay eggs and do things for carnivores. It's I think the herbivores that can provide for carnivores are the most essential herbivores.
Everyone has a purpose, I feel like.
Yes.
Everyone has a set purpose in this world that they have to go with. The hens have to I'm sure they have multiple hens. We'll see that they're all doing eggs. Like the other hen, I'm sure she's doing eggs too, because she's like, oh, why don't you come hang out with the other girls? We're having a girls' night or something. She's like, no, I'd rather just keep doing my routine with my eggs and keep doing the same thing over and over, because I have pride for my eggs.
So then it's almost like, what jobs, I guess, can carnivores provide that almost gives them a sense of purpose and helps keep a peaceful cycle going on within the world,
I think the job the carnivores can provide is not eating anybody. That's literally their job. Just don't kill anybody, dude. That's about it. Keep that mask on hard.
But it's hard to, someone tells you your whole life not to do this, and it's hard, instead of not doing something, usually people find it easier to have purpose in doing something. That way their mind's not focused on the thing that they shouldn't be doing. So,
Yeah, you can correlate the hen with Legoshi. Legoshi's just basically hiding his true feelings and not being passionate about anything, so that, he can kind of keep his role in society as a carnivore. Meanwhile, this hen is super passionate about her role, and she's trying to basically show off and, prove to everyone that I am important, I'm a factor to society. Meanwhile, Legoshi's just trying to hide and be I'm not doing anything wrong with society, so please just don't judge me, or don't go after me.
And it's funny, you see his friend tease him about him. He's like, hey, bud, why? His friend Jack, I think, right? His name is Jack. His friend teases him. He's like, hey, bud, why are you not eating your Wednesday hen eggs? He's like, you don't know, man. It just doesn't taste the same. And she just breaks down.
yeah, literally.
She had a mental breakdown right there.
But I was gonna say, it goes back, and I think Jack is an amazing friend, because you get that whole side thing with Jack and finding Legoshi's porno, right? This bunny porno, and he's just going through all the things in his head. He's like, it's just a creepy fetish. I thought this guy was innocent. What's going on here? It's kind of the things you'd go through in your head if you found like some weird porno magazine your friends were watching. You're like, oh, I thought I knew this guy. What the hell? So I thought
What
that
makes
was
him a good friend too is he's willing to like talk about it with Legoshi.
Oh yeah.
Didn't go straight out and tell everyone about it. Hey, look what Legoshi has in his room and what he's hiding.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we also see we see animals, like everyone's an animal, but we also see that insects aren't considered animals. They're, well, not animals in this world. They're pets because Legoshi has a pet beetle in his dorm, and he takes care of it.
So after the intro, we get a nice little cool scene, and it's a different aesthetic and animation where Haru's kind of running through this forest, talking about how she feels very lonely. And after that cutscene, it's funny because she snaps out of it. She's daydreaming, and where is she? She's in the bed with Louis. So I felt like that kind of spoke to how maybe their relationship, if you want to, whatever kind of relationship they have, whether it's just even just sexual, but whatever it is, it's starting to die out, and she doesn't really feel the same way as she did before. And for them to portray that, they show a flashback, and we see something very important. We see a flashback of her first meeting Louis, and we see his horns fall out. So that was we didn't know. So now we know he has fake horns. Any of you guys want to touch on that more a little bit?
Yeah, it's a sign of vulnerability. Like, you see his horns come out, and he's always trying to be Mr. Perfect, and then he says his name in third person. She's like, who the hell is that? And he's like, oh, you don't know who I am? And he's like, oh, this is perfect.
He was surprised. Someone didn't know his name for once. That shows like he's an iconic figure on campus.
Even when he was a freshman, or I would say, what are him and Haru in the same grade, or are they? Is he a year older than her?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
Cause I know she was a freshman, but I don't know what he was.
Yeah, but either
he
way,
must have been like a sophomore or freshman.
We see how his whole family, he has a reputation to hold up. And we see why he is the way he is. He's self-conscious. He's always thinking about things, contemplating, overthinking things. He's almost like a form of Legoshi, but he has more people that expect things of him. So he kind of contemplates.
He has a status to uphold.
Yeah.
So he's Legoshi, but he has to fake it. He's Legoshi, but he can't show those insecurities or act like he's a person in the background. He has to be front and center. So it's like he has to hide all of those fears. And like if Legoshi was put in that situation, I think he wouldn't do the same thing. But just going back to he would hide who he really is. You have to hide who you are, especially if you're in the public light like that.
Yeah. So we see a lot of pressure coming from his family and his family name. We know he has an arranged marriage. And even Haru knows, and so they're all aware of this. But
I was gonna say, piggyback on what you were gonna say. I think Haru is falling out of love with him, and I think that has to do with the whole entire fact that in the beginning it was like a very great relationship, but then reality started kicking in where he has an arranged marriage. So this love is just kind of a stepping stone to what he really is gonna be going after soon. So Haru's she kind of sees herself, and he kind of put her in that role where she's just for the time being,
But you know what? I think he also she fell out of love with him. I think because he showed his true insecurity to her, because she's like, wow, he has problems like I do. He's just
I was gonna say, I think that's why she liked him, and I think that's why she likes Legoshi.
And then that's why his walls were built up again, because he's not showing his true self anymore around her. The only thing he wants is just have sex with her, basically.
Yeah, he's basically become comfortable in his own skin now, and now he feels like she kind of feels like he doesn't need her anymore. That's probably why she looks to Legoshi, because Legoshi is still this kind of weak character who's still trying to figure himself out, and Louis like, nah, I gotta figure it out. I faked it till I made it, and now I'm here. So I'm just gonna be who I am, even if it's fake.
Yeah. So we see she fell in love with his vulnerability, and that was an aspect she liked, that he was who he is, and now he kind of puts up a facade. But the most the next vulnerable person that has a lot of contact with her is Legoshi. And we see, I think she's starting to fall for him a little bit. And so we get this great scene of finally Louis and Legoshi. Legoshi comes to Haru's place and they finally meet up. And Legoshi's like, what are you doing here, Louis? And it's almost like Louis like, what are you doing here? And then Haru, I feel so bad for her because she's awkwardly just hiding in the back. And so now we get to see them confront each other about this.
And and he like, you see Legoshi like he's clueless, and meanwhile Louis is freaking out. He's like, oh god, does he know what's going on here? Like, is he gonna tell people that what's going on with me and her?
And I was gonna say Louis thought too that he was sleeping with her too.
No, he was, right? Or
yeah, he thought, he was like, oh, he doesn't know she's playing him too or something. And then when Legoshi says, oh, I haven't had experience with women like that. And then Louis like, oh wait, what? So I think that's one of the things too. Yeah. I
think Louis says he starts panicking in his mind, which number one, he's the guy that's always composed. And then he's like, is he sleeping around with her? But then he tells himself like, no, he wouldn't be. But is he just telling himself that to kind of feel more secure in the fact that maybe he's not the only guy sleeping with her? Is he in denial? Because he's like, oh no, she's playing him. Of course she's playing him. And he's like kind of like convincing himself that she's playing him. So that was.
And I was gonna say, it's very funny that he gets insecure about it, but it's like, dude, aren't you doing the same thing with Haru? Like, I mean, even if you do have feelings for her, you're essentially still playing her because you already understand you have an arranged marriage and you're not even willing to sacrifice that. Like, you didn't even put it up for grabs. You just said you should already know how it's gonna be. So it's like, who's playing who at that point? It's like, if you're gonna play around and get married to somebody, then like, why should she have to be committed to you? I mean, this is a free world out here, It's very interesting that he gets insecure all of a sudden, but he's almost doing the exact same thing.
Well, I think he is insecure because the sight of Legoshi being there, and he's almost reminded like, oh yeah, I may not be the only guy, and oh yeah, there's other guys out there. So I feel like he almost does. He's starting to come to his senses that, oh yeah, I do like her. Like, he's like, why am I panicking? Why would he be panicking if he didn't care? So now he's coming to that realization that, oh yeah, I might really like her, and this guy might really like her too. So I think that's a little bit of panic and worry coming in right there.
And it's his last thing he has over control, because like he has control over the school, but does he have control over Haru and his feelings towards her?
That's a great.
That's the last thing he has. He doesn't have control over. And yeah, I mean, and we can piggyback straight into that when Louis meets the wolf girl. What's her name?
Juno.
Yuno. Yeah, and
Juno.
Juno.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was very interesting because he's sitting there, has his hands up, examining his claws, examining his growth spurt, and then basically being ashamed of it. But then Juno, is it Juno, right? Juno. Juno comes and she she does the same thing as him, and she's like, oh, is this some kind of ritual or something? Like, and she's just looking at it through like an optimistic point of view, like, oh look, you're just looking at your hands and stuff. And like, that their connection's very authentic and real, and like it's the first time like Louis not really flustered around her. He's just kind of
Legoshi?
Legoshi, yes. Legoshi's not really flustered around her. He's just kind of like figuring himself out. It's like the only time he's not really talking in his head too much. He's just going with the flow. And like, when they're talking to each other, and then, it's just like dancing, and Legoshi takes off his jacket, and the whole time he's ashamed of how big he is and how strong he is. But then she looks at him, she's like, oh my God, we could make the perfect couple. Like, we could literally make the perfect babies. Like, look at this guy's features. This guy's huge. Like, it's funny how he sees himself in another light, but now we see the perspective of a female wolf, and she's just like, bruh, take me away. Like, we could do this. Like, I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like she's going to help him kind of, now that there's someone else like him, she's going to help him to embrace more of himself, because like you said, he's been shying away from who he is, a dominant male gray wolf. He's been almost like, why am I growing? Why are my claws getting longer? And she's just like, wow, this guy's a specimen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's gonna help him to embrace his features more.
I want that ship to sail. I don't really care about Haru anymore. When I met Juno or whatever her name is.
Yeah, I love Juno's attitude. She's very positive. She's like, they wanted her to play the carnivorous dinosaur role, and she's like, I think everyone in the Actors Club is just kind of like, that's almost like their sick joke for me to play it just because she's a wolf. But she still takes it in a positive light, and she's like, I'm gonna play this role and I'm gonna be the best. And her whole attitude, like her I
think that was Legoshi too. Legoshi definitely influenced her to be more positive about it.
Mm-hmm. But I think
from their last conversation.
Mm-hmm. Even so, like Legoshi was the one who said from their last conversation, you're gonna have to get used to this discrimination and all that. And she was just like, why do I have to get used to it? Why can't this change? This is something I have to get used to. So I think she's gonna broaden his horizon a lot. That's what it seems to be. She seems to be doing. But that's if he can open up his eyes to her and who she is, because he's still kind of stuck on Haru. But yeah, I mean, he's trying to talk to her. So
he's, I don't know, he has no connection with her because she's like, hey, do you have this connection? Do you feel the sensation, the same thing I feel? And he's like, yeah, I do. I've read something in class that when you're with your own kind, we feel a lot more comfortable with each other. Like,
and he just completely killed.
But I was gonna say, like for Louis, I think Haru is just his first crush, but Juno or whatever her name is, I think that is like he never had a relationship built from a friendship into like an actual girlfriend or relationship. So I think that's like a super important thing, is because sometimes like you could see a girl, really like them, get to know them, fall for them, do anything for them, but sometimes it's the girl that you talk to every day in class or sit next to that eventually you're like, oh, I think I actually like this girl. Like, why don't I just ask her out? So it's like, it's like a weird dynamic with like, oh, your first crush versus, maybe a realistic actual girlfriend that you can obtain that's like, that can actually help you grow, It's just, interesting take on it.
We hear another quote from Legoshi again, and he says, when his friend is talking to about the finding the rabbit porn, and he just kind of tells his friend, like, everything's gonna be all right, it's just a fetish. And he says, I'm used to suppressing my feelings. And then he shows a nice little smile and moves on. But I think, eventually these feelings are gonna come out, and we see a little bit of that later on.
At the end of the episode, he's painting with Kai, and then he's looking up top, and first he's painting with Kai, runs to get more paint for Kai, and he talks to Haru for a minute, and then
Haru talks to him.
Yeah, Haru talks to him. She grabs his tail and stuff. Talks to her for a minute, but it was funny because like I thought he actually did the right thing. It's like, because he doesn't know his emotions right now, he kind of distanced himself from her. And I thought that was a good thing. But you find out later on in the episode, he's seeing Louis walk over to Haru, and it's not even anything like, it's just a pat on the head. But I mean, somebody pats your girl on the head, man. You're gonna feel some type of way about it. So he just pats her on the head, and you just hear like Legoshi finally recognize what this feeling was this whole time, because he finally gets the feeling of jealousy, and that's not like the feeling you'd get from having a hunger for somebody. That's the feeling you'd get for having like a love or an attraction for somebody, which is an interesting thing. And kind of, if you look, like his eyes turn a little red when he's wiping the paint off. Like his eyes are a little darkish red around the tin. So like I don't know what that's about.
I think that's just his anger, his coming out. It's just it came out full blast. He was not expecting to see Louis with Haru.
And continue, sir.
No, I was just gonna say that you mentioned the pat on the head, but the thing that got him even more was her smiling from it. And it's like, what? Why am I not in that situation? So I think that, like you said, the jealousy comes out. And he's like, that should be, why are you smiling from this? So he gets frustrated and angry. And we understand now that it's love.
we
Or
also
so we believe.
and we also see not just the smile. He smelled that scent on him before when they were leaving the flower club.
And he lied about it. That was the thing.
He lied. He's like,
and he really had a lot of respect for Louis. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. Yeah, he had a lot of respect for Louis, and he lost all of it because he's like, wow, I trusted you.
Mm-hmm.
He said we're just friends, but it turns out that looks more than like being just friends. So
borderline. It's friends with benefits at that point.
Is it?
Yes. Unless he puts a ring on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you know, seeing Legoshi get really angry for the first time, not over like something like, I mean, love is very serious, but like see him get angry over a relationship or like actually like, you know, his feelings, like getting angry for himself instead of for like rabbit's blood or something else like that. I think it was very good, very human nature, you know, to actually finally see him get angry over something. It's like, dude, stop fucking, you're gonna get angry, man. Like you keep taking punches, eventually you're gonna break. And it looked right then he broke because he was like, I've been doing all this, and just to see that, just to know that the person I was looking up to is kind of going behind my back. Yeah, you should get angry over it.
So
any last calls on anything? Actually, predictions on everything. Your prediction from last episode, Aaron, from his friend finding the porno was correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it. I can know myself. I was like, I knew it. It's gonna be my boy Jack for sure.
Do you guys have any predictions on what's gonna happen next?
I think Legoshi might try to fight Louis. I hope he doesn't get too emotional about it and try to fight him, but it seems like it's gonna lean towards that direction, or there's gonna be something big that goes down during the festival.
You think he's gonna confront him, or do you think he's gonna confront her?
I think he's gonna confront Louis. I don't think he sees anything in Haru to make him like angry, so to say, but I think it's Louis where he's like, you know, I trusted you, you know, you've done a lot for me, like why did you lie about something so small as that? Because that could have saved him a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah, no, I think the two things we might see are Louis' vulnerability finally come out for the world to see, or at least Legoshi. And I think we're going to see Legoshi's intensity finally come out for Louis to see. And I like to see how that plays out, their confrontation. So, because they've both been hiding these things. So,
yeah.
Is Legoshi going to take the role on Beastar?
No.
That's a deeper question that I don't know the answer to.
I don't think so, but I hope so.
The show's just going all over the place, and I love it. Each episode is just you just don't know what's going to happen next. Like I'm just surprised every single episode.
They're so creative. Like I mean, even for the like. We got last episode with like, you know, the crazy cutting off the fingers and stuff. And then we get like this funny story with the hen for like 5 minutes. And I was like, that was actually a really great story. Like, you know, you get to see a side character's perspective that you don't even know about. And it's good. The content's good, man. I really enjoy the show.
Doesn't let me down.
No, never does. So,
all right.
I was gonna say, so this has been another review with Casa de Anime. Like and subscribe for weekly content, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.